Hello, ladies and gentlemen of America. This is Precision Politics, coming at you again with another 2020 presidential election video. Today, we are going to be looking at the best case scenario, reasonably speaking, for Joe Biden. We did one yesterday for Donald Trump, and we showed him coming away with a narrow victory. So let's get started today, and let's see where Joe Biden ends up. So the 2nd District of Maine is currently in a toss-up, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to give that right to Joe Biden. All right, so let's go now to New Hampshire. New Hampshire, one of those states that finished nearly tied in 2016. But in our polling data that we currently have, Joe Biden currently in about an 11-point lead. So I truly think that this is going to go in the direction of Joe Biden this year. So no problem keeping that blue for the purpose of Biden's best case map. Pennsylvania, leaning blue once again, according to 270towin.com's consensus polling map. This was their default that they had on. So we are going to just keep Pennsylvania blue because Biden is currently polling by +5. There are concerns in Pennsylvania, but for the purpose of Biden's best case scenario map, no problem keeping that blue. Going over to Ohio, we have Trump with a 1-point polling advantage right now. But given the fact that this, of course, is within the margin of error, we can easily give this to Joe Biden. However, Ohio did turn around big for Trump. So he does have a couple of points that he may very well go up further in Ohio in. But for the purpose of our map, we are going to say that Joe Biden takes the point away from Trump and he turns Ohio blue. Over to North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, I do just want to say something really quick. I'll probably make a separate video about this. But North Carolina and Florida, if you're looking to have an idea of who won the election come election night, this, alongside with Florida, are the two states that you're gonna want to take a look at. All of their polling data should be in by then, and 538 did a fantastic job covering this, but if North Carolina or Florida, which Biden is currently polling at +2 for both locations, if Biden ends up taking at least one of them, if not both of them, then he has pretty much locked up the election already, because that shows that the +2 polling advantage is actually correct, and that is probably indicative of the rest of the country. And if Biden does perform anywhere near the spectrum of what the polls are currently saying he will do, then Biden has the White House. So North Carolina probably going to end up being a real nail biter. If Trump does as well as he did in 2016 at upsetting the polls, he would win North Carolina by 0.5 percentage point. But for the purpose of this, he gets that one. Florida, like I said, Biden currently polling at +2. So definitely feasible to see him taking Florida as well. Georgia, that's one of these states that is turning blue. It was not in play in 2016. It is in play this year, however, Biden with currently about a 2 or 3 point polling advantage. So it's probably going to be really hard for him to actually have a 3-point lead in Georgia come election night. But we can see him taking that for sure. Over to Iowa, just as Ohio is polling for Trump by 1 point, Iowa going to Biden by 1 point. In 2016, one of those states where Trump really showed up big, did a lot better than he was supposed to, if you count what the polls were saying. So we are going to give Iowa to Biden, though, for the purpose of this, because he is ahead by 1 point in the polls. Going over to some of these states, I just want to talk about them real quick. They're already showing a lean for Biden here, but Arizona was at a +3 for Biden. It's currently at about +1.5. It is narrowing. Trump did take this state in 2016. He was slated to win it by 4 points. He did pretty much exactly that. So if the polls are as accurate this time around, and Biden is able to hang on to his 2-point polling advantage, he would win by about as much. So definitely feasible to see that. And Nevada actually did an upset for Donald Trump against him. Hillary Clinton was forecast to lose the state, ended up winning it. So definitely feasible to see Biden's lead continuing here straight to election night. All three of them up here: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. All three, Biden has a couple of points of a lead in. There are questions if he can keep it, but for the purpose of this map, we assume he does, so he easily takes all three of those. So you notice we didn't really even change too much right now. I will talk more about that in just a second, but let's go over to Texas now. Texas currently showing about a +3 for Donald Trump. A lot of Democrats really hoping Texas can actually be in play. Right now listed only as a lean on this map. I really debated back and forth on if I wanted to turn this blue for the purpose of this map. I really have doubts. I think it's well under a 10% chance Biden would actually take it. Is it in the realm of what you could call feasible? I think it barely might be. I went back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Biden. However, Montana, Alaska, those are two states that are still pretty solidly red, have really no reason to think why, according to the limited polling data we have in these two states, why it would go Biden. Some people that I've watched, they may want to take them and maybe make them into play. They were debating it. I'm not going to go quite as far. I think that there's not a feasible chance that Biden takes either of those. And looking at the rest of the states, it pretty much is true for the rest of them as well. South Carolina, I just don't think that's there yet either. So there you have the best case scenario map for Joe Biden. Biden 413 to Trump's 125, a complete blowout. If you watched my last video on Donald Trump's best case, it shows him winning by a narrow margin. That is actually pretty correct with what a lot of conservative commentators and personalities on YouTube and otherwhere will say. They also say that Trump will win the election, but by a narrow margin. That's pretty much the consensus, that if Trump does win, it will be by a narrow margin. But Biden definitely has the opportunity to perform a blowout here if the polls are even close to as accurate as what they're saying. But like I was telling you, I talked more about, we didn't really change anything on this map. We changed the only two, if I'm correct, that are currently polling plus for Trump that we changed were Ohio and Texas. So only two states we changed. So that just goes to show you, if the polls are correct, this won't even be a close election. Now, I do want to add one more quick thing here. Do I actually think that Biden gets all of these swing states? Do I think he gets Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia? I do not think he's taking all of these. There's going to be one or two of those five that go to Donald Trump, regardless of how much of a blowout. This is a perfect map for Joe Biden, but just feasibly, you just don't have blowouts of this caliber. So, don't expect it to truly look this blue. This map is feasible in the sense that all of these states are more than feasible, in fact, likely to go for Biden. But all I'm trying to say is there are going to be some asterisks, and so a couple of these states would probably be it. So that about does it for Biden's best case scenario. I'm excited to do even more election content on my channel, so definitely stay tuned, and I will be doing lots more videos in the future. So thank you very much for tuning in, and this has been Precision Politics, and I will see you next time.